Don Global presents the DG Recruit podcast on everything headhunting and recruitment. Achieve the life and career you envision. What's up, game changers? It's your host, Don, founder of Don Global, the headhunting and career coaching company helping you achieve the life and career you envision. In today's DG Recruit episode, we'll talk about something a lot of headhunters need and want and have to learn in order to run their business smoothly, which is client development, business development. Yes, exactly. This is everyone's biggest headache. All the hiring managers we work with are always looking for full desk 360 client account managers, client side headhunters. You can't call yourself a headhunter if you don't know what the other side is doing, because it takes two hands to clap, and that is why you need the client side and you need the candidate side. The sooner you learn how to do the client side, the sooner you will break into six figures in this business. Every other day I talk to people who think that recruiting is where it's at. Let me tell you something. If you rely on recruiting, you are putting yourself at a career disadvantage from a financial perspective, from a growth perspective, from a personal development perspective. I was lucky, so lucky, that my first company and my only company that I worked for had taught me how to do proper client development, business development from day one. I got a note recently from someone who sent me an email or a LinkedIn message, I guess, who asked me, I have just started my own recruiting business. I still have yet to land a client. Any tips for business development? Well, first of all, this is very, very concerning. I don't know anybody who goes into a headhunting business who doesn't have a single client or knows how to land one. The first question I need to ask that individual is, why are you starting a recruiting agency without any actual full desk experience? That's absurd. That's putting yourself at a really horrible situation. There's so many people who see the dollar signs in recruiting because, yes, they are very big dollar signs, right? 25%, 20%, even 15% client rates. I go to XYZ client. I pitch them my service. They give me either a retainer because they're so swayed by my good voice or whatever I'm saying, right? They give me a retainer, or they'll agree to 15, 20, 25% rates on base salary as a contingency fee for the placement. Yes, that number looks great. Theoretically, it should be easy to achieve. But also, you got to think, if the numbers are so high, it's got to correlate to why they're so high. If this job was so darn easy, why are the rates still 20 to 25%, also 30, 35% in some cases? Why are they still so high? If it was so easy to solve, if it was so easy to make these placements, why are the fees still so darn high? So that's what I'm here to tell you, is that the rates in recruiting globally since the 1950s have not changed. They're still at 20, 25 to 30%. There's a reason for that. And the reason is because this job, despite LinkedIn, despite the internet, despite all the technological advances, is still very, very hard to do. So the fact that anyone, I think even before I dive into the answer of business development, anyone who is silly enough to start a recruiting firm without already knowing this answer, you are setting yourself up for a big failure and surprises, because you might get lucky on one or two deals. But when the economic crash happens, which inevitably will always happen, every decade there's an economic cycle. When that happens and you don't know how to generate income at the highest level, be a high top biller, if you don't know how to do that, and you're relying off of one or two easy wins, you will go bankrupt down the line. So it's like building a house. If you build a house with the wrong foundation, with the weak foundation, with the weak and cheap materials, just to get the job done, in the first or second year, you might survive. The minute a slight wave of wind comes through, a slight tsunami, a slight whirlwind, you are done for. Your house is going to collapse. So after I set that big warning, I will now break into business development tactics. So business development tactics, it's as easy as it's ever been. So every time a recruiter tells me, oh, I only do candidate side, I will never do client side. Client side is too hard. I tell you point blank, that is not true. It simply is not true. In fact, it is the same job, except a different, slightly altered conversation. With your candidate, you're talking about their career and their future. Actually, I would argue for most cases, for most recruitment markets, candidates is the tough part. All right? Everybody can land clients. Clients have money. They need the service. They have to pay you to get the job done, right? So I don't believe that it's hard to get the client side. I get clients coming to me all the time. I can barely handle it all. What do I need? I need more candidates, darn it. I need more candidates. All right, so candidates is the tough part in terms of doing the job. So if you're a recruiter, you're already doing candidates, and you're telling me client side is hard, you of course are ignorant. You have no idea what's happening, because client side is actually the easy part. So let me tell you how to get the client side going. There's many tactics. Number one, we call this active or passive profile networking. So this is very simple. You literally get your candidate who is already in your possession, get them looking beautiful. Put them in your cover sheet format. Now, if you're a business and you're trying to market map out candidates, right? If you're trying to promote and market your candidates, you better have some sort of branded cover sheet. So I feel like that goes without saying, but I feel like I need to say it because I don't know if everyone's doing it or not. Every single candidate you send out has to have a cover sheet. The cover sheet needs to address a few things. On my company's cover sheet, you will see that I have current billing numbers, which is exactly what my client needs to see because I recruit recruiters, I recruit headhunters. So for me, I need to show my clients, which are headhunting agencies, how much money my candidate is currently or recently billing. That means yearly as well as monthly, recently, where they're at. Okay, so number one, you need to have certain things on that cover sheet. That cover sheet should look like background, some sort of indication of who that person is. So for a technical market, let's say Java developers, it will say something like 2 years plus of Java development experience working on applications for the mobile, technical and web space. I don't know. I've never done IT recruiting, but you get my point. Essentially, you just walk them through what this person has been doing the last few years. Another piece of the cover sheet might even say current situation. So current situation could be passive candidate, headhunted, not actively looking, working exclusively with me, looking for an opportunity to grow his or her skills to the next level within, mobile web development for an exciting startup / mid-sized company. Right? You do this based on the candidate's preference, also based on kind of where you'd like to put them, right? Like this is part of the cover sheet. Now, in the body of the email, in the body of the cover sheet, outside of your summary, you want to also include the salary expectations. So I have a box for salary. What am I looking for salary-wise? What is this candidate looking for? What does this candidate want? In the current news in the current state of things, you're not really allowed to ask candidates for their salary information anymore. So in that case, you can write what they're expecting. So expected total 2019 is base salary of X plus, bonus of X plus. If the candidate is smart enough to tell you how much they're being overpaid, you will be putting that information on your cover sheet. All right, this candidate is currently X, Y, and Z, seeking something competitive or flexible or interesting based on background, right? You might even have an area for notes. In the notes, you want to put down the information regarding your candidate's background, how good they are, what they look like, what they have done, put that in there. Now, for the actual resume, I designed the whole thing based on the DG Recruit format. You can download this on my front page on LinkedIn. You can also download this from my website, dgrecruit.com. Again, I use my own DG Recruit format. This is the same format I've used in my technical market. It's also the same format I'm using now for my candidates. I use my format and my format only because my format is the best format. I've been doing this a long time and my format looks the best because clients always choose my candidates for interviews is because I put them in the DG Recruit format because I make it easy for them to understand what this candidate is all about. Especially you dealing with technical staff. They're going to have really crappy resumes. So you need to redo them. If you're lazy enough to let someone out of your door looking like crap, be aware there's better recruiters than you out there. And there's a lot of better recruiters than you out there. Don't ever be lazy. Do your candidate's profile. Do your candidate's resume. Show your candidate, especially if you're doing perm. Especially if you're on perm, show your candidate that you give a crap. Now, if you're on contract, yeah, maybe it doesn't matter. But for perm, it's non-negotiable. You have to take responsibility for the profile that you are creating for your candidate. So number one, again, we're still on topic number one. This is a simple process of marketing out your candidate. So when you market out your candidate, obviously you need this cover sheet done. You need the resume looking spick and span. Of course, when you're marketing out that candidate, you are not going to be dumb enough to tell your client where this candidate is. If you are dumb enough to tell your client who this candidate name is, where they work, you're just giving your candidate away. They're just going to backdoor you. So do not ever show your client where they graduated. You can put the degree they have, but even if it's a weird degree name, I wouldn't even put it on there because it's too identifiable. Some of these candidate markets are so tight and so small and so limited that you cannot put your candidate education there. I did STEM before. I did life sciences recruiting. My market was so small. You'd be crazy to tell your client where your candidate went to school. They're going to do a simple LinkedIn search and find your candidate and hit them up. I'm not going to let that happen. So I'm not going to tell my client where they went to school. I'm also not going to tell them which companies they worked at. I won't even put down past companies if they're too identifiable. Again, I will not take the risk of this. Also, titles. Titles look weird. Titles look interesting. I am not going to tell my client a weird title so that they can identify exactly where this person works. They've been in the industry long enough to know where this weird title exists. I'm not going to tell them that this candidate's title is International Documentation Manager because they're going to know that that's a regulatory writer at Roche. It is a very obvious title that only Roche uses. So I'm not going to be stupid enough to tell my clients where that person works because, again, they're just going to go after that whole crowd without me. Right? So be smart about how you're market mapping and marketing your candidate. Be smart. So be smart on how you market your candidate. Once you have the profile complete, you are going to start sending it out. So this market mapping, send out process, I want to talk about number 2 now. Number 2 is market mapping to your client network. Market mapping your client network. So number 1 step was to basically get ready to market out your candidates. So you need to get your candidate's profile set up. Number 2 is actually market mapping the recipients of this beautiful document, the recipients. So who are the recipients? Well, this should be pretty obvious. Again, every headhunter, especially if you're independent, you need to be niche. Reason being, you can't cover everything under the sun. It's folly to go be a generalist headhunter because, as they say, jack of all trades, master of none. Nothing goes more true than this than in recruiting. In recruiting, you have to be niche. If you are, again, crazy enough to go generalist, you are in for a nasty little surprise because you cannot do what I'm telling you to do if you're going after every single profile under the sun. Again, it has to be niche. So your niche recruiting, especially on full desk, you got to go 5 levels deep, market map out all the best clients nationwide for that service. All right. So when I have a good candidate, I'm sending them out nationwide. I'm going to be picking up jobs nationally. In today's world, if you are dumb enough to only be regional, again, there are better headhunters than you out there. If you want to stay regional, you are setting yourself up for limited scope from the candidate side. And when you're limited, from the candidate side, you will not dominate. You will be doing and running, and you're a rat. You're going to be doing the rat race. You're not going to be a dominant force within the market space. You are just simply a rat. Understand this and you will become $1 million biller. Struggle with this, you're going to be working your butt off. You're going to be working your butt off. Generalist recruiting is the worst type of recruiting. I hate it. I can never imagine doing it myself. My success has always been to be niche or be actually really, really good at a certain space. Or I get it, fine. I agree. You can also, at a certain space, at a certain time in your career, you can go slightly generalist, but it's never going to be like admin assistants in addition to Java developers, right? It's going to be Java developers and potentially program managers for Java developers, right? That makes sense. It's still relatively niche. So my point again here is when you market map out, you should know exactly who you're market mapping out. And when you're market mapping out, it's going to be the hiring managers in your space. So if you're looking for Java developers, you need to go find head of Java developing. You need to find these heads. You need to find these senior level titles. So VP of product development. I've never done this market. My easiest example would be based on my own example, which is when I started the regulatory writing market, all I did was identify every single director of medical writing in the nation for pharmaceutical companies. So that takes some time. Yeah, you can go and hire an Indian person to do it or a Filipino person to do it at an outsourced rate. You can do that too. I just didn't. I'd rather do it myself because as I'm adding to my market map, I'm inputting people into my CRM system, my tracking system. I'm updating my system with those names, integrating them from LinkedIn. I'm also sending them messages and connecting with them simultaneously through LinkedIn. So it's simply not realistic to ask someone to do it all for you. I find it more beneficial to do it yourself because then you can market and map out very organically, and you can look at people who viewed similar other people, right? On LinkedIn, there's this tab on the right that says people also viewed. You should go into there and you should grow that market out. In fact, you should be going to the companies and searching for those exact titles at that company. So once you market map out the whole networks, maybe you start off being regional because you want to meet your clients, right? You do that whole thing. You set that whole thing up. Get that whole thing going. Right? The next step is to send out your beautiful candidate to your client list. You got this beautiful profile, and you're going to send this profile to that beautiful list of people. And after you send it, number 3, you are going to follow up. You are going to follow up, whether that's through email, whether that's through cold calling. You're going to call them and you're going to tell them, hey, Mr. Mrs. Hiring Manager, how you doing? This is your neighborhood regulatory writing recruiter. You remember me? I sent you all those profiles last week. No, sending one profile isn't enough, by the way. You need to send 2 to 3 a week. You can't be a reliable producer or reliable recruiter if you don't have 2 or 3 a week. They've got to look different. If you're sending the same profile over and over and over and over again, you again will be beat by better recruiters. So again, your job here is to call the hiring manager. Hey, Joe Schmo, I hope you're well. Hey, Mary Jane, I hope you're well. It's Don. Remember I sent you that beautiful profile? What did you think? How's it all going? Open questioning. Same thing that you do on the candidate side. Open questioning. Start the conversation. Okay, so what are you looking for this year? If you were to look for someone, what kind of person would fit into your organization? Right? Open questioning. Get the needs down. Number 4 is just to set up those conversations and set up meetings. So, hey, this has been a great conversation. I love getting to know you. Love getting to know your firm. This is super exciting. I'm excited for what's coming down the pipeline for you guys. I know you have XYZ product coming through. It would be great to make sure that you have the marketing people in play. So let's definitely follow up. I'm going to be in your town X time to X time. When would you be free to meet? Simple. Book meetings. Book meetings. You can't do recruiting for your clients if you don't know what they look like, if you don't know what they sound like, and if you don't know where their office is and what they look like, what those offices are like. You need to know all this stuff, so you got to get there for meetings. And you can tell your client, I need to come by and see you. I told a client today, I'm going out to a client meeting around noon today. I told the client, I can't recruit for you if I don't see you, first of all, and if I don't see your office. I just simply can't do my job because my candidates, on the flip side, they ask me too many questions. I don't know the answer. If I don't know the answer, how can I recruit for you? How can I sell you effectively if I don't know what you look like, what you sound like, who you are? I'm selling you.
Ultimately, when I recruit for your team, I'm selling you, not the brand. The brand is definitely important, but I'm selling you as the individual manager. That's what's going to get the best talent to move. It's the level of management. It's the level of manager. So you got to make the pitch. Push, push, push. Now, the last thing you do is you slap this cycle on repeat over and over and over again, consistently. Every single week, you should be doing this activity at least 3 to 4 times. You should be cold calling in a small chunk of time. Maybe all morning you're cold calling. Maybe all afternoon you're cold calling. Maybe all day you're cold calling for jobs. When you have a bunch of candidates and you don't have jobs, you got to go out and get them. So you got to call. Just go and do it. This is part of your job. This is the fun part. This is a game. Make it a game. Set targets for yourself. How many meetings do I want to go to? How many phone calls do I want to have with hiring managers? Call your golden loop. Call everybody that's done business with you. Call everyone that's done business with your colleagues and go for the referral pitch. Go after your clients in any creative manner. Call clients off of a event that you went to, off of a networking event that you may not even have gone to, but you got the whole recipient list or the whole attendance list. Go and hit them up. Right? Go LinkedIn marketing, go email marketing, go cold call marketing. Just get out there, dial, email. Just go crazy with activity. That's how you're going to develop business. So I hope this was helpful. This is definitely a short cliff notes. Of course, everything I talked about could be broken down into each individual podcast. So do hit me up if you have any more questions. But again, it's your job to be very good at writing and content creation. If you're not good at writing, it's going to be very hard for you to client develop. You need very strong writing skills. All the things I talked about. You need very detailed, very careful, very strong, persuasive written skills. Because a lot of times you need both written and verbal communication to land your client. I have never just cold called and got clients off the bat. It's always in conjunction with my email marketing and my LinkedIn marketing techniques. So everything goes hand in hand. There is no one singular way to client develop, to business develop. But the point here is this. If you use written skills correctly and follow it up with very strong verbal skills, you are going to win the client. And lastly, you have to be very perseverant. You can't expect clients to come to you within week 1. That's not going to happen. You have to be consistent. You have to be doing this process over and over again, every single week, every single month, nonstop. Nobody should ever stop client developing. Nobody should get comfortable with their bank of clients. Everyone's goal, I believe, and I hope most of you are top billers here, I believe every top biller's goal is to be a monopoly. That's what we want. We want to monopolize the entire workforce, the entire market. I don't want just the sliver of it. I don't want just the New York market. I want to own the whole darn pie. That is how you separate a millionaire from a regular Joe Schmo who does this for a job. When you do headhunting, this is a career. This is, in some cases, your actual business. If you don't have the idea of monopolization, your business will forever be stagnant. And when there's an economic cycle that hits you, you will be the one out in the cold. I'll tell you that right now. Everyone's comfortable right now. Nobody gets it. Everyone feels very comfortable. They're not putting in place any of the measures they need to do to keep you top of the game. Everyone right now is very comfortable because the economic cycle is very good. Do not get comfortable with that because you need more clients. You need more business. You need a bigger marketing. You need better content marketing. You need stronger and better email campaigns. You need better verbal skills. This never stops. The journey of learning, the journey of progressing should never stop for you. So now I hope you can listen to this, get this digested, and get out there and kill it.
I hope DG Recruit is helping you understand the realities, challenges, and opportunities when it comes to headhunting and recruitment. Whether you're already a top biller or an aspiring headhunter, I'd love to get to know you. Sign up at donnaglobal.com to stay in touch on all aspects of career coaching and headhunting. Connect with me on LinkedIn. I'll see you there. Thanks for tuning in to DG Recruit. This has been a production of Donna Global.